In the first two stanzas, the psalmist meditates on God's all-knowledge and all-presence. When he realizes that he cannot escape from God's knowledge and presence, he starts to accept them. And this leads to something absolutely beautiful. This third stanza is packed with poetic references to the previous stanza, and the repeated references show how his mindset has transformed to increasingly accept God's presence and knowledge in his life. Come, let's explore stanza 3 together. This stanza is about God's all-involvement in my life. Let's go. In the previous stanza, the man imagines running away to extreme places, and here he considers an even more extreme place, his mother's womb. So this stanza starts at verse 13, which says, "For you created my organs, you wove me in the womb of your mother." These two lines are surprising and powerful because there's a sudden focus on God in action. What a contrast from the previous stanzas, where God is portrayed to simply know and be present. But here, God acts. Verse 14, when he realizes that God acts, he responds immediately with the phrase, "I will praise you." He doesn't stop there. He follows with a series of synonyms to show how amazed and impressed he is with God's intricate work of forming him inside his mother's womb. I remember when I was in high school learning about human biology, I was constantly amazed by how the human body works, from the organs to the cells and each structure inside the cell, how DNAs and proteins work. Each part has so much complexity. How complicated and beautiful is the design and creation of a human. So the man says, "I am awesomely, wonderfully made. Wondrous are your works." And he ends with, "My soul knows it very well." This is the exact opposite of verse 6 in stanza 1, where he says, "Wondrous is his knowledge to me. High above, I cannot attain it." This means that he cannot understand it. So the word wondrous almost had a neutral or negative feeling attached to it. But here, when he meditates on God's complex workmanship, he comes to the opposite conclusion. God's work is wondrous, meaning it is awesome and praiseworthy, and that is something that he can know very well. The word here for soul is the word nephesh, which also refers to your entire being, your entire body. And so here there is a logic that your body knows itself. That's why it knows that it is awesomely and intricately made. Verse 15 to 16 is the next unit, and it reads, "Not hidden are my bones from you. When I was made in secret, I am skillfully woven in the deepest earth. My embryo you see with your eyes." These 4 lines are written as a chiasm, which means that these 4 lines have an A, B, B, A format. The lines on the outside are a pair, and the lines in the inside are a pair. In the first line, "Not hidden are my bones from you," he is referring to his baby bones when they were formed inside the womb. But this subtly references back to the end of stanza 2, where he is actively trying to hide from God in the darkness. The last line, "My embryo you see with your eyes," this line is even more startling for the modern day person. For those of you who are parents, recall the first time you saw your baby under the ultrasound and how awesome that experience was, to be able to see something so tiny and hidden, but full of life. Yet the ultrasound is only black and white and in a very low resolution, almost like static on a TV. But as hidden as this embryo is, God sees it in full HD, 3D, full color. How awesome is God? And both these outside lines acknowledge how God sees and knows everything. The middle 2 lines are, "When I was made in secret, I am skillfully woven in the deepest earth." The earth is a well-known ancient metaphor for the womb, and so this is very appropriately represents a person being formed in the womb. But these 2 lines also make direct reference to stanza 2, where the man tries to escape to Sheol, a place imagined to be deep in the earth, and escape to the farthest ocean, a place imagined to run even deeper than the earth. Here, these 2 lines in the middle not only acknowledge God's all-presence, but also that his hand was actively at work, even in extreme places like the womb. The word here for skillfully woven originally refers to artistic work of weaving something complex and colorful, and even the work of embroidery, as if to add design and beauty to something. What an awesome metaphor to describe the creation of man, as if God's hand was carefully at work in each detail on our body. So we can take much encouragement from this, that there is no neglect in our design, no mistakes, no errors. Every detail, including our imperfections, we created with thoughtful purpose in God's mind. This section ends with verse 16, and on your book everything will be written. The days will be formed when not even one existed. The word here for formed is peculiar because the word is typically used to describe work that is done with your hands, like a potter forming a clay pot. But here it is the days that are formed by God's hands. This word makes a connection back to the start of the stanza, where God uses his hands to weave and create the infant. So God's hand was not only involved with the man in the beginning of his life, but God's hand has even written his life and formed the days that have yet to exist for him. So not only is our body beautifully and purposefully designed, but the days in our life are also beautifully and purposefully designed already. God has beautiful plans prepared for you. So far, each stanza has two parts. Here is the second part of stanza 3, verse 17 to 18. Here, the man looks at God with deep appreciation because he realizes God has a design and plan for all the uncountable moments in his life. Not only that, he realizes that God's wonderful presence is with him, not just at birth, but God is with him in his entire life, until his very last day, when his life is finished. These two verses show the transformation of his attitude and relationship with God. In the previous stanza, God's knowledge and presence led to thoughts of feeling trapped and even thinks of running away. But in this stanza, he sees God's knowledge, presence, and involvement as absolutely precious. So a reflection for you guys. Why is there such a sense of intimacy, profound awe, and gratitude conveyed in the stanza? Recall the last time you put a lot of work into your own creation, perhaps a painting or drawing that you spent many hours making, perhaps a sculpture or model made out of clay, paper, or Legos. Perhaps you skillfully created something through knitting or crochet, and you look at your work and say, this is something that I am proud of. This is something I love. I made it with my own hands and I put a lot of effort into it. This is a relationship that we have with our Creator. When we look at how intricately and complexly we are made, we think, wow, God put a lot of effort into how he designed me, my unique physical shape, my unique character and personality, even though there are some imperfections that I don't love. God put a lot of effort and thought into how he designed and created me. And that is a very special relationship. So a question for you to think about: how did God design and create you? And what is unique and special about you? Please let me know in the comment sections below. Would love to read and reply to them. And please also remember to subscribe. That would help me out a lot. Thanks. Bye.